Hello. Welcome to another week of Case Files.
With Kat.
And Ashley.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I'm really afraid to drink this.
Okay. She has yet another new one.
But it smells worse than the pickle one.
Oh, no.
I bet it will taste good,
What's
though.
it called, though?
It's called Sippin' Pretty. It's a fruited sour.
And it's a gorgeous
I just wanted to explain
can.
my facial expression before you asked me what I was doing. Oh, that's actually really good.
Oh, is it? What is it?
And for anyone who cares, I'm drinking Sippin' Pretty. It's a fruited sour ale. It says it's loaded with a blend of acai, guave, elderberry, and balanced with a delicate addition of Himalayan pink sea salt. This beer pops with a bright ruby color and refreshing tart finish.
It pops.
It doesn't look ruby red.
It pops. Don't spill it.
I think they lied to me. Well, how else would we know? It's just poured onto the...
Poured on the thing.
The tablecloth
and
is
I've
white.
got the Eureka Heights Mini Boss.
Oh,
What?
I always love their cans.
I know. So good. What?
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway.
What's up?
Nothing much.
Oh, whatever.
I won an award.
Yes, keep going.
I won. It's not. I mean, there's so many.
Oh my gosh,
so many people.
I thought you were about to say so many awards.
No, there's so many awards. No, I won the Division P Toastmasters International Speech Contest in District 56. So I should say in District 56. So if you're trying to pinpoint where we are, we're in District 56, Division P.
Woo.
The competition was stiff, man. Jason said he after hearing all of them, he had me in third place.
Nice. Very supportive.
Love that.
Love that for you.
I love that for me. I love that for me. And then my son was sitting next to me, and he leans over and he says, "I hope you get second because hers was really good."
Wow.
So supported. I'm really. I have the
love
best.
That you have such a great team behind you.
I mean, number one fans, or number
Please
three.
keep you humble.
But yeah, it was like wow, it was good. It was honor.
Awesome.
It was an honor to win that because that was hard fought. That was definitely hard fought. Yeah, but I brought it. I brought it. I said the thing.
Yes, you did.
I did the thing. I had fun.
And when's the next time?
May 17th.
Oh, coming up.
I know.
Exciting.
Coming up. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to do it.
Well, I'm excited for you. I haven't won anything, so I don't have anything to say. Episode over.
This is like when you would give your speeches.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Okay, well, what are you doing today?
Oh, okay. I knew this would be so shocking. I'm doing a disappearance.
Let's learn something.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about 6-year-old Timmothy James Pitzen. Pitzen.
Brought the mood way
I know.
down, dude.
I'm sorry, dude. That's what happens with true crime.
That was the wizard.
Anyways, rude. 6-year-old Timmothy James Pitzen was dropped off at a school in Illinois on May 11th, 2011 by his father, James. Now, Timothy hopped out of his dad's Jeep and he made his way towards his kindergarten classroom carrying his Spider-Man backpack. James was quoted saying, "I told him I love him and to be good," and then he was gone. So an hour after he arrived, Timothy was taken away from the school by his mother, Amy. So she took the boy on a last-minute weekend road trip that was portrayed as a fun mother-son getaway to amusement parks. But a few days later, in what was already a depressing story, in a motel room within the city of Rockford, Illinois, there was a discovery made. Amy's body was found in the motel room, but Timothy was nowhere to be seen. Amy had committed suicide. She left behind a very cryptic and terrifying note that still baffles people to this day. No one has figured out what she really meant by it. And it was confirmed that she did, in fact, commit suicide. So it wasn't like someone staged it to look that way. She actually committed it.
Oh, no.
So,
I got to know what the note said.
Yeah. So the note implied that Timothy was safe, but in it, she declared he would forever remain hidden. On the day he was taken from the school, the little boy's father, like I said, had dropped him off at Greenman Elementary School. When his father returned at the end of the school day, that's when he was informed that his son had already been picked up by someone else. So he had no idea that Amy was picking him up or taking him anywhere. Shortly after,
They were separated or divorced?
they were married. They were still married. They had been arguing. Divorce had been mentioned, which I'll talk about, but they were still very much living together, married at this time.
Wow.
So shortly after Timothy arrived at school, his mother Amy appeared unexpectedly. She took him out of class sometime between 8:10 and 8:15. She claimed there was a family emergency and needed to pick up Timothy right away, but of course that wasn't true. So as the day progressed, Amy's behavior just got weirder. So at 10 a.m., she left her vehicle at a repair shop, and an employee actually offered to take Amy and her son on a ride to the Brookfield Zoo. And so there is footage of them at the zoo enjoying their time. Like they can be seen on camera, walking around.
An employee of the mechanics
drops her off at the zoo while the car's being fixed.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was like, "Hey, I'm going to the zoo. Y'all want to come?"
No. Like they took them there and dropped them off. Sorry.
I was so confused. I could just picture this guy in a mechanic's uniform, hanging out.
But the footage, doesn't show that Timothy's in distress. Nothing looks out of place. It really just looks like they're having a mother-son day. So they enjoy their time there. They return to the shop to pick up her car at 3:00 in the afternoon. From there, they make their way to Key Lime Cove. Yes.
What was she getting fixed on her car?
It didn't say. It just said that she was getting repairs done.
Okay. It just seems strange to then spend that money and then later
she's dead.
Kill yourself. Okay. Go ahead. Seems a silly errand to run.
Considering on the road trip they're taking, maybe she wanted to be able to take
it's
this
the road trip. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So from there, they made their way to Key Lime Cove Resort, where they spent the night. So now this is the next day, May 12th. They drove to the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. So they've gone across state lines at this point. Amy was captured on security footage with Timothy as they stood at the checkout line at 10 a.m. the following day, like the checkout line of the resort. So there is footage that confirmed they were there.
Okay.
Now, Timothy was the only child of James and Amy, and even before he went missing, his family was well aware of her struggles with depression, like deep depression. She was emotionally unstable. But despite all of this, she genuinely loved Timothy. Like, she would do anything for him. She wanted him to feel special. Like, no one ever at any point in this thought that she would hurt him. They were more concerned about her hurting herself and finding Timothy or whatever. So Amy's prolonged battle with this depression and mental illness had really put a strain on the marriage. And James had said that Amy had previously survived a suicide attempt and had been taking medication for depression. He said the couple had been arguing shortly before this disappearance of her checking him out. Amy had taken a cruise with a friend for her birthday, but didn't tell him that she was going to take this cruise and left him behind and just kind of went on this cruise for her birthday with some friend.
What?
So
What?
So they had been arguing. This was pretty much the final breaking point for him, was So during the argument, Jim mentioned wanting a divorce, and he had said that Amy had been divorced 3 times before, but she herself had mentioned wanting a divorce from him. So it was kind of like a mutual thing, supposedly. Now, he gave Amy an ultimatum and told her he intended to fight for sole custody of their son. Like, he wanted full custody of Timothy because they were afraid of her and her state of mind. So concerned about the sudden turn of events, he wasted no time. Like, when he found out that Amy was the one that had taken Timothy, He tried contacting her. He tried calling her phone. It would go to straight to voicemail. She would not respond. He contacted all of her relatives. None of them, they all claimed to not know where she was. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know. Because all the security footage came in after all of this already happened. So, because they were they didn't know where she was to even like try to find her. You know what I mean?
So she wasn't using a credit card or anything like that?
I'm assuming not, because they could not. Well, also, he didn't report them missing right away. He was trying to get a hold of her first before he reported them. He didn't report them missing until the next day.
But if they had a joint checking account, he could have just looked on to the checking account.
They may not have had a joint.
Wells Fargo.
Not a lot of people. Not everyone has joint bank accounts. You know, or she could have had a hidden one.
Yeah.
So on the 12th of May, when his phone calls kept being unanswered, he reported Amy and Timothy missing. So this is the next day. So on the afternoon of May 13th, a significant series of phone calls took place. Amy reached out to various family members of her own, but never once contacted her husband. But she did call his brother. So during the conversation with his brother, he claimed that he could hear Timothy playing in the background and telling his mother he was hungry. However, there was one phrase that the conversation from Amy that he remembered that she distinctly uttered, and it says, "Timothy is fine. Timothy belongs to me. Timothy and I will be fine. Timothy is safe." And that's it. So she also called her mother, and she told her, "We're fine. We'll be home in a day or two. I just need some time to figure some things out. I just need to figure out how to approach this." And she reassured her mother that neither of them was in danger. The phone calls from Amy really heightened the determination to locate Timothy at this point, because it was getting weird. And so the origin of these calls were coming from...
They seem really weird.
Yeah, like really manic.
It wouldn't make me feel better. She would not be assuaging my fears. Yeah.
And so the origin of these calls was coming from an area northwest of Sterling, Illinois, which was near Route 40. And in the landscape of this investigation, this information was given to the authorities. It gave them a lead to go on, like where maybe to pinpoint, start looking for her, because up to this point, up until these phone calls, she hadn't made any calls. So they couldn't really ping her phone. They couldn't find anything. I'm assuming she was either using a bank account that he didn't know about or paying cash. None of the articles specified how she was doing all of this without records. So there was surveillance footage revealed that Amy and Timothy checked into multiple hotels near amusement parks across Illinois and Wisconsin over the span of 3 days. After spending time at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin, they traveled 120 miles into Illinois. And on the evening of May 13th, Amy was captured on security cameras at a Family Dollar store in Winnebago, Illinois. Now, she was alone. Timothy was not with her in the security footage. She was purchasing a pen, notebook paper, and envelopes, which she used to write letters to different family members. Now, I couldn't find what any of those letters were, except for the one note that I'll read here in a little bit.
But that's what I was going to say. Who got letters, and why haven't they turned those over?
I don't know what the letter said. I just know what her final suicide note said that they found with her, which I'll read here in a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was weird that I couldn't find the letters. Or maybe they just didn't say anything that would help. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, so later at 8 p.m., she was spotted shopping at Sullivan's food store. And at 11:15 p.m., she checked into the Rockford Inn. So
by herself? And there was footage or no?
Timothy was with her.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know if he was with her at that point, because the last time he was actually seen on security footage was at the other resort, the one in Wisconsin, the Kalahari Resort. That was the last time anyone actually saw him on camera. So he may not have been with her at this point.
Wow.
Because it was sometime during that night that she checked in, or the following morning that she took her own life. At 12:30 p.m. on May 14th, she was discovered by a hotel maid. She had inflicted deep cuts on her neck and her wrist and had overdosed on antihistamines. So she was not trying to fuck around. Like, she was going to do it one way or the other. You know what I mean? Like, she overdosed. She had a lot of drugs in her system that would keep her asleep. In the note that laid beside her, she expressed remorse for the situation she had created and apologized. She revealed that Timothy would never be found, but that he was safe with people who would take good care of him. In the final statement in her note, she wrote, "You will never find him." And they never have.
And how old would he be now? When was he born?
He would be
like
20. He'd be 20, I think.
Wow.
I'm probably. He was born 2011, so yeah, he'd be a little over 20.
Wow. I thought he was 6 in 2011.
Just kidding. Yes, he was. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
So he was 6. So yeah.
So,
My bad.
gosh,
I don't do math.
he was
He would be like 20 this year.
So somewhere between that resort
And the
where
Rockford
she
Inn where she was
ended
found.
up. And how many days between those two things?
It was just one
day?
1 to 2 days at
wow.
most. Yeah. So, Timothy was nowhere to be found. There was no evidence suggesting he was ever in that room. He had vanished without a trace. There was no sightings. There was no communication.
Wow.
During the investigation, police did find a knife that she had used to end her own life, and they did DNA testing on it, but it did only contain her blood. There was a troubling amount of blood found in her car, which was initially thought to belong to Timothy, but a family member later told them that the stains were a result, or likely a result, of the boy's nosebleed that had occurred in the car earlier that month. Which I just thought was
that doesn't
strange.
No. They would be like not suspicious of nosebleed blood.
Apparently, it said there was a troubling amount.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
I just feel like
nobody has
you would have passed out, like gone to the hospital.
Oh yeah, did he go to the hospital?
Yeah, but that's what a family member said. One of her family said.
Her family is covering up. Right.
So another significant detail emerged during the investigation. Her cell phone was missing. So this was in 2011. In 2013, her cell phone was found along Route 78. The lady that found it took it home. She just kind of had it on a shelf until her brother needed a phone. But when he turned it on, he noticed that it belonged to this woman in the news story or whatever and turned it into the police.
Wow.
So, but the phone didn't have any new evidence, and it didn't assist really in any way other than they finally found Amy's phone. But there was
couldn't they track her movements up until that point?
Well, they said that there was nothing, no text messages really that they didn't already know. They had already pulled her call logs, so they could already see who she had called, who she had texted.
Okay. I guess.
They knew where she had, been. For the most part, the places that she had been. So law enforcement came across a series of really, really weird clues when searching Amy's vehicle. Underneath the rear bumper, they had fragments of longweeds, which included Queen Anne's lace and black mustard weed. And so based on that, they could find precise locations of where her car had been.
Love that.
Yeah.
Science.
And so they went to this location. It had been deviated from the main road, and they knew that she would have only deviated for a specific purpose. Was it to dump his body?
Dump a body.
Was it to give her to someone else? Was it what? Mm-hmm. Why did she do this? But they extensively searched these remote locations that had these particular weeds, and they could find no evidence that would help the case. His backpack wasn't anywhere. His body wasn't anywhere. Like, they had dogs, they had people searching. Like, he was not there, but she was definitely, her car was there. And the data from her cell phone did show that one of her final calls pinged a cell tower near Sterling, Illinois. So toll records revealed that Amy had made 2 prior trips to this area months before Timothy's disappearance. When asked the father, like, if he knew why she would be going there, he didn't know. She didn't have family there, so he couldn't give an answer on to why she may be going here. Amy had also purchased new clothing and toys for Timothy right before this journey. None of those items were ever recovered. Timothy's backpack was never found, so they presume that she was buying clothes and toys for him for whoever she was giving him to. So, investigators speculate that Amy really took James's threat very seriously of he was going to try to fight for full custody of Timothy, and prompted her to place him under the care of another family. Kind of like, if I can't have him, you can't have him type deal. Ultimately, there are so many unanswered questions.
Nobody won. Nobody won in this situation.
But in her mind,
nobody.
In her mind, she probably did, because James didn't have Timothy. She referred to it multiple times that Timothy,
about hurting him than she did loving her son.
She referred multiple times in phone calls before all of a sudden that he is mine. Timothy is mine. And so I'm sure she felt whatever she was doing was better for him than what, but she was suffering from depression and mental illness. So not that that's an excuse to kill your child. I'm just saying she was suffering from all of these things. So who knows what her thought process was.
But even if he is alive, she took away his ability to have his dad too, not just her.
Yeah.
He took away his ability to have a mom, but also a dad. Ugh.
Unless she gave him to a family, and she thought in her mind he would have a mother and father when she was gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know what she did.
Yeah. Even if he was alive, that's still,
I know.
He's still without a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
That sucks.
In 2015, police pursued a tip after a Florida caller said that there was a boy in her neighborhood who looked a lot like an age-progressed image of Timothy that had been produced by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The caller said the boy had moved into her neighborhood shortly after Timothy's disappearance was reported. She said the family's vehicle had a Midwestern license plate and that the boy never went to school. Like, he was just basically home all the time. So investigators did go out to investigate this, and they did agree that this child looked very, very similar to this progression photograph.
What's his last name again?
Pitzen, Pitzen. But it was determined that that was not Timothy. They did DNA test. So through the years, James was publicly said he believed his son was alive. He kept working on a tree house that he had been building for Timothy in case he did come home. Like, he never stopped. So James didn't understand why Timothy hadn't tried to call, wondering what exactly Amy might have told her son during those days in May before she did whatever she did and then killed herself. He told People magazine that he and Amy had taught Timothy to how to call 911. They even gave him an identification card made for children. The magazine that he was interviewed in reported that Timothy's name, picture, and fingerprint were on that card. So if he got lost somewhere, you could find him. However, that card was found in the hotel room with Amy. So she had taken that card off of him.
Wow. She really thought this through.
Yeah.
She really thought it through.
Yeah. So, years after she died, and Timothy went missing, her friends and family speculated that Amy's behavior was based in fear that her history of mental illness would prevent her from getting custody of Timothy if her and James divorced. Now, Timothy's paternal grandmother, Linda Pitzen, told reporters in a U.S. Sun article that after torturing herself trying to decipher Amy's note, she is convinced that her grandson is still alive. Pretty much everyone is, all of James's family is convinced that he's alive somewhere. They just don't know where or how to find him. So Timothy had a childhood friend named Hannah, and she has done a ton of her own research looking into his disappearance and believes this and has a theory about where he could be, because she very much, what she said was it was really strange for her because one day they were playing, hanging out, and then the next day he was just gone. She would be the same age as him, so they're both in their 20s. And so her theory is that Timothy is living on a remote Mormon commune because his mother had converted to that religion shortly before all of this happened. And there wouldn't be internet for him to even know that people were looking for him or who he was or that he was a missing child if he was truly in this commune. She was quoted saying in that
Wow.
She was quoted in that same U.S. Sun article that Linda was saying, I still think about Timothy a lot and what happened to him. And with Amy, there are a lot of unexplained visits that she made to certain places and will never have answers. I believe that she dropped him off somewhere. I don't know if it was in a religious area or something like that, but I think she dropped him off and gave him to people she knew would keep him safe and hidden. I think she made it clear to them that either his identity had to be changed or that he had to stay away from the internet so he'd never know he was missing. Now, Timothy's grandmother, Linda, actually agreed with her theory and said it would explain a lot. She said, I agree. I've agreed with that theory from the beginning. She said, I've read that suicide note, and if you read that note and you know Amy, I would guess she probably gave it to somebody, or she gave him to somebody to live in a compound. I have to hope that's true because it'd be a lot better option for me to deal with as opposed to what the other options are.
Yeah, I get that.
She just wants hope that he's alive and safe somewhere, even if it's not the life they want for him, right? Like, she'd rather believe that than that he's dead. So they truly believe, Linda and Hannah believe that he was given to some sort of commune because of Amy's behavior, because of her converting shortly before all of this happened, and all of these trips that she made prior to this taking Timothy and disappearing.
He's such a cute little boy. Man.
So, Linda goes on to say she does not believe that Amy would have ever hurt Timothy, and instead thinks her plan had something to do with her Mormon beliefs. I think she wanted Timothy to be raised Mormon. She said the rest of us aren't Mormon, and I think this was her way of making sure he was after she was gone. So basically ensuring that he would grow up with the same religious beliefs she had, because she knew if James's family got Timothy, they would not raise him to be Mormon, because that's just not what they were. And so that's why she thinks Amy would have given him to a commune. Hannah thinks it's because she didn't want him to have access, to know who he was.
Yeah.
So James was married to Amy. Now, Amy had been raised Mormon but had converted to the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints before the couple met each other, and got way more into got way more into it, than James ever was.
Into the LDS church.
All the beliefs, really wanting Timothy to be part of that. She just got into all of that. And Linda went on to say she never pushed it on anyone apart from James. So she would constantly tell James he should convert, but he was reluctant. And I think her church may have been pushing her a little more than we know.
Was she going towards the FLDS, the Fundamental Latter-day Saints, or was she going?
It just said the Church of Jesus Christ of
Latter-day Saints. So
yeah.
she was just on the LDS, regular LDS. There's no compounds in just the LDS church. That would be FLDS, which is, Warren Jeffs and all of it. So, I mean, that's strange.
They just said that shortly before they got married.
And they're not okayed by the church,
They just said shortly before they got married, she did this conversion. Like, she had been raised, she did this conversion. But shortly before this disappearance and stuff, she was like all in about it. Like, always going on to James about converting, and he just wasn't going to do that. And so they thought that could be another part of her, reasoning.
Yeah.
They thought that whoever she was going to see was part of this church. They thought that, again, Linda, which is James's mother, really felt that the Mormon church was pushing her to leave James because he wouldn't convert and because Timothy needed to be raised in this religion. Now, that's never been proven. That's just their theory on it. I'm sure the police investigated, but who knows? They didn't specify that they did.
I mean, how do you even start?
Yeah.
You go to every single LDS church.
And if they did it, who's going to tell you that they did it, right?
I stole a kid.
So Hannah believes that Timothy likely has no idea who he is. Otherwise, he would have made himself known, at least to his father. She said whatever Amy did, she did a good job of hiding him. I think she made it clear that either his identity had to be changed or he had to be kept away from the internet. She said, I think he's alive, but I think he's somewhere that will be very difficult to find if we ever can. So in April of 2019, a man named Brian Rennie, who's 23, which is an ex-convict, was charged with making false statements because when he was younger, he claimed that he was Timothy. He told police that he escaped from an 8-year ordeal at the hands of sex traffickers. And he said that, he had been kidnapped from the motel. He was sold into sex trafficking, and he finally escaped after all these years, like when he was like 14 or whatever. Anyways, his claims were debunked after DNA tests confirmed that he was not Timothy. So it was said that law enforcement confronted him with the DNA results, and at that point, the person immediately stated that he was not, in fact, Timothy, and law enforcement knew that already. He was, in fact, Brian Rennie, and after confessing, he told federal agents he had heard about the case on ABC 2020 and wanted to get away from his own family, according to court documents.
Oh, man.
When questioned further, Rennie stated that he wished he had a father like Timothy's because if he was missing, his father would just keep drinking. FBI agent Mary Braun wrote.
Oh, man.
So let me clarify. He's 23 now. He was 14, like when he was saying this, okay? And so authorities said that he had made this false claim twice before, also portraying himself as a juvenile sex trafficking victim, not twice as Timothy, but as other people. Anyways, they arrested him because they wanted to make an example that it's not okay to pretend to be a missing child and give families false hope and waste police resources and all of this kind of stuff. And he is actually in prison. I don't know if it was just for this. He did spend time in jail for this, but he is in prison. So on Reddit, there are so many theories on what could have happened. Okay. But this is the one that I saw over and over.
The most.
And it was that Timothy is actually dead, and the mother purposely made the father think that he wasn't as her final act of revenge. Basically, without a body, James would forever have hope that Timothy was alive when he really wasn't. So, that is crazy. But is it totally unbelievable knowing the other things that she planned and did? Not really.
I mean,
that was one that was repeated over and over, that she actually did somehow murder him, because he is seen going in,
but not
right,
out.
to the resort or whatever, but they never see him again. So they don't know if he came out. They don't know if he was dropped off to somebody. They don't know why she appeared off the road.
Have video? I mean,
man, you've seen some of the footage.
2011. I mean, there's lots of cameras.
But you have seen the quality of footage from many places.
You could also see if it's a 6-year-old walking, you know, if it's like, this is where her room was. Did we see her walk into her room?
They never see him go into the last room, and they never see him come out. The last confirmed sighting was in that checkout line at that one resort.
I don't think he's alive.
And
I know everyone wants to think he's alive.
Yeah.
I don't think he's alive.
Yeah. And so they think that she actually killed him before she killed herself, which is why she killed herself, because she did kill him and she felt guilty about it. And that it was also James could not have him.
Yeah.
So now Timothy's aunt, Kara Jacobs, says it's not over yet. He's not living the life that we think he should be living, because I think he should be with his father. But one day we are going to see him, and you're going to see the other side of this story, and that's going to be amazing. Now in 2024, which was the 13th year anniversary of Timothy's disappearance.
Oh gosh, it's coming up, isn't it? 14th.
Yeah, well, yeah. So May 11th would be, 14. And so James had asked the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children to share this message to his son. It says, "Dear Timothy, the years apart have been hard, and I am so looking forward to us being reunited. There's so much of your young life I have not been able to be a part of while you have been missing. The future is bright, and I look forward to spending time with you and getting to know my son again. Till I see you again, love, Dad." To this day, this case is still unsolved. Timothy is still missing. There have, other than the one lady who thought that that boy in her neighborhood was Timothy, there have been 0 reports. Not even false reports.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's dead.
Yeah. I mean, there's not even been...
Because usually there are usually lots of reports, right?
People just trying to insert themselves or whatever.
I saw them at the diner.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, if they went to all of these parks and different resorts or whatever, resort versus motel. I mean, like, was it a resort or was it just like a
the resort was a resort.
Inn? Okay.
Like, that's the last one. Now, the motel where she was at was totally different. It was just like your average...
Like a motel.
But the other one was a resort. Like, the last day he was confirmed to be seen alive, they were at this resort near the amusement park where they had spent the day. So they had gone to the zoo. They had gone to several different they went to 3 different parks. They stayed at 3 different resorts. He's not seen after the checkout at the last resort, and then she checks into the motel by herself. No evidence of him being in the room. His identification card was with her. Her note said, "You will never find him."
His body.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, not that like there's like a look that people have. She did not look like somebody who was capable of doing what she did.
Well, and...
doing any of
both
this.
families say they don't think that she could have hurt him. But I mean, realistically, how would he have not had any sightings? How would he not have made any contact with his father?
Because I mean, 6, you remember who you are, you know, like,
I mean,
you don't totally lose the fact that you once had a mom and a dad. Like, and you know that this is not them. Now, if you were like 3 or 4, I could see like that would be a little bit different. But, you know, you're in 1st grade.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, yeah, he was in kindergarten.
Oh, kindergarten.
Yeah. But he did have friends. He had best friends. He had, you know, his dad who loved him very much. He had like his whole family just doted on him.
Yeah. And I just feel like I would like to think that our memories aren't that erasable. I mean, I know we have short memories for some things, but like other things, I feel like they stick, like, you know, your parents,
Yeah.
your family, your friends. I just feel like I can't imagine it would be that erased. You know, I don't know. Like that if like 8 years later he wouldn't go looking.
Well, and again, like I said, they didn't think Amy was capable of hurting him because they said that she was meant to be a mom. They were inseparable. They were like peas in a pod.
Okay, but she was unhealthy. So
Yeah, I'm just saying like that. So I feel like that would explain the suicide because she felt so guilty after doing it.
Because if he was safe, why not just go back home or
not
stay there?
Yeah.
If that's your new religion, just stay there. I'm sure they would have taken you in too.
Yeah. So other theories is that he was handed off to a family in Iowa because of she spent a lot of time. Okay, so this is another quote from a family member. Okay. We spent a lot of time on Route 20 back and forth when we were young, visiting our grandparents and an aunt and uncle. Amy actually lived with my grandparents for a period of time in the 90s. She met and knew people in Iowa. I believe behind whatever happened was a connection that she made there. So,
who said that?
One of Amy's family members.
Oh, wow.
So she actually believes that Timothy was given to a family in Iowa versus James's family that thinks he was given to a commune.
And have they ever investigated those family members?
They've never been able to find a trace of them. So again,
what were they like? Well, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody kind of gave up a little bit.
That was Amy's sister. That quote from her name was Kara. But again,
I mean, I can go on 23andMe
they investigated the people that they could investigate, right? But there's no trace of him anywhere. They've never found those clothes that she bought. They've never found the toys that was confirmed that she bought. They've never found his backpack. There's literally been no trace of him anywhere that they've investigated. They have investigated her family, his family, like James's family. They've talked to people at all of the resorts, all of the amusement parks. They have nothing to go on. There was no clue in her room because he had never been in there.
I feel so bad for his dad.
Other than the trace amount, like the terrifying amount of blood that was in her car that her family member said was a nosebleed.
My ass.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for his dad. Okay, where do people contact if they have any information? I always have you repeat this because I forget.
Yeah. So I'll have it in the show notes, and I'll also post pictures of him and the progression photos of him. But if you think you know anything about this at all, you need to contact the Aurora. Oh my God, Aurora Police Department at 630-256-5516. And again, that will be in the show notes. You can also contact the National Missing and Exploited Children Center. Yeah, it's a long thing. But they also have a case open.
And that's where his letter, and that's where Timothy's dad's letter was on there.
Yes. Right? There are tons of articles. They put out an article about once a year about the case with any updates. But the last one was from this year in March, and there wasn't really anything new that they could go on. They just say that he's an adult now, and I've always thought maybe something would happen, a memory would pop up for him, kind of start some kind of chain reaction in his mind to help him realize. And a lot of people think that's how they would get him back, is that he would see something that would trigger a memory or a smell or something. But who knows what these people have done to him? Who knows where he is, if he is alive, which I don't think he is. To me, there's no way. But that was the last update, is that they still hope he's alive. He's in his 20s now. They hope as an adult he will find a way to contact them. But if he doesn't know he's missing, but again, he's 6, like you said, he would have to know that
there's something. There's got to be something. That's enough time on Earth to have deep
to know that whoever
memories.
you're with is not who you were.
Like there were people before. Whatever happened to those people?
Yeah.
Like what Who are those people? I
Yeah.
remember I used to have
Like
this
little
house.
kids, generally, if they're that loved and stuff at home, they're super attached.
That's Lola.
Usually if kids are
Yeah.
that loved, that doted on, they are very attached to their parents.
100%.
I can imagine how scared he would be just being handed off to
handed
someone
off.
that he had never seen before, for his mother to ride off and not return. I cannot. He would have to have trauma and memory of that. But yeah, they, like I said, they do an update once a year, pretty much. There's a lot of articles out there, but it's unfortunately more or less the same of just saying they have hope.
Well.
And that they just, at this point, there's just theories of what happened to him. There's no leads, there's no tips, no sightings, no body. You can't do much if you don't have a body. So, or clues or tips or leads, and there's just none of that. And it's really rare, like you said, to find a case where there's none of that. So,
Oh,
unfortunately,
bring the mood down.
I know.
All right. Well,
real quick, I'm so
yeah.
sorry. On her tombstone, it says something like "World's Best Mom" or something like that. Just so you know.
Just go and chisel that shit right off.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, if you see anything, if you know anything, the contact information is in the show notes.
Yes.
Please do reach out to the Aurora Police Department. Next week, who knows what I'm doing? Who knows? We'll find out.
It'll be happy.
It'll be, I don't know. Okay, no, I don't know if it'll be happy, but but anyway, if you see something,
Say something.
and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.